Hey guys, welcome back to Kinetix Performance Coaching, your home for information on strength, nutrition, and longevity. So, one of the questions that I get all the time with my clients is what should I eat before I work out and what should I eat after? And this is one of those things that it's important to talk about because it can get way more complicated than it needs to be. There's nutrient timing that you hear about, anabolic windows, pre workout carbs, post workout carbs. You hear about protein timing, and it's like, do I need a chemistry degree just to lift weights and build muscle? But it's actually more simple. Like before you train, the main thing I want you to think about is what's going to help me perform well in this workout. Because ultimately, if you try to build muscle, get stronger, improve performance, or just get more out of the training, you actually have to be able to train hard enough to create that stimulus, right? And that's where the carbs actually play a role. Your body stores carbs primarily as glycogen, especially in your muscles and your liver. And glycogen is basically stored fuel that's just sitting there, and when you need to do harder physical work, it becomes available. Like if you're doing resistance training, especially higher volume training, multiple sets, higher reps, supersets, leg training, things like that, you're going to rely pretty heavily on that stored glycogen. So, carbs before training aren't there because carbohydrates are somehow magical. They're useful because they can make sure you've actually got fuel available for the work you're about to do. And that's what's getting misunderstood. If you're trying to build muscle, training quality matters. If you come into the gym underfueled, your energy's low, your glycogen's low, your performance is going to drop off halfway through the workout, and you're potentially reducing the quality of that stimulus you're trying to create, right? Because that's the key. Creating the stimulus for a growth mechanism and then feeding that growth mechanism properly, and then, getting the growth. So if I'm eating a normal meal, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours before training, I'm usually looking for quality protein, some carbs, and a meal that's pretty easy to digest. And that could be like chicken and rice. I make a great chicken and rice with bone broth. I boil the rice in bone broth. It makes it soft, easy to digest. Also, eggs, sourdough toast, fruit, Greek yogurt, berries, beef, potato. It really doesn't have to be a special fitness meal. The protein gives you the amino acids circulating around the training session. The carbs help support glycogen and training energy. And then the amount of fat and fiber is really just going to depend on how close you are to the workout or how well you personally can digest it, because everything is, unique to the individual. Because you also don't want to walk into the gym feeling like you just ate Thanksgiving dinner either. Like, you don't come in stuffed. If you've got 2 or 3 hours, you can probably tolerate a bigger mixed meal. If you're 20 or 30 minutes away from training and you're hungry, you can make it way more simple. Maybe like a banana and some whey protein. Maybe just a little fruit and Greek yogurt. Or maybe it's something small that gives you just a little bit of carbs and protein without sitting heavy in your stomach. And this is really where it's about the individual. And that's why we say nutrition is intuitive. You have to listen to your body and pay attention to what it's telling you when you eat something. Some people can eat really close to training and feel great. Others need like an hour and a half or 2 hours, or they're going to feel terrible. There's really not one perfect meal that's going to work for every single person. And after the workout, and let's talk about that because that's where people tend to get really obsessive. To finish your last set and suddenly everybody thinks they gotta have protein or a meal in there in 12 minutes or their muscle disappears is not really how it works. After training, you've created the stimulus, you've stressed the muscle, you've used that energy. You've created a reason now for the body to say, okay, I've got to adapt. And now it's when we want to give it raw materials, right? And it needs to recover from that. So it's a process. It takes time. And the first thing you think about is protein. And you want a good serving of high quality protein after training. For most people, it depends, but I would say about 30 to 50 grams for most people. Again, individual assessments will provide your data. If you're interested in that, you can contact me. And that meal is going to be a very reasonable place to start. So for somebody who's larger, very muscular, trying to push protein intake higher, that meal may contain more. Don't obsess over the exact number. The bigger idea is that you want enough high quality protein to provide the essential amino acids. That's under protein, the ones that actually function to build the body for muscle repair and adaptation. So, beef, eggs, chicken, fish, Greek yogurt, whey, whatever works for your diet. And then we've got carbs again, because this is where that glycogen comes back into conversation. You just trained. You've used some of that stored carbohydrates / glycogen, and now your body can start replenishing it. So you have to replenish it. So eating carbohydrate after training can actually help restore that glycogen that you used for training, because you have to restore that energy. And how important that is depends on what you're doing, right? Your activity level. This is why I analyze people's personal data. It's all about your personal data, your personal biorhythms, how you're functioning, how much you're moving, what is your day like, what is your body composition, and all that stuff is personal. That's why it's so hard to say this one size or one thing fits all, because it's all personal. If you're somebody who trained for 45 minutes, you're not training again for 2 days, you probably don't need to panic about replacing every gram of glycogen. Your body has plenty of time. But if you're training hard, doing a lot of volume, you're an athlete, or you're training again later that day, or you're training again the next morning, then restoring glycogen becomes a much bigger priority. So that's where something like rice, potatoes, fruits, oats, sourdough, or whatever carb source works for you can make a lot of sense after training. Another thing people forget about is hydration. You've lost fluid depending on how much you sweat. Probably lost other sodium electrolytes. And we're going to talk about electrolytes in another show. So look for that, and we'll get into detail about electrolytes. But it's not just protein and carbs too, right? It's protein, energy, fluid, sleep, enough total nutrition across the rest of the day to actually allow the body to adapt. And then that takes me to that anabolic window thing, right? This getting protein right after the workout in a certain window of time, that you're just going to miss the opportunity to build that muscle. That's really just not true. Now, if you ate a meal containing protein before training, those amino acids don't just suddenly just disappear the moment you pick up a dumbbell. You've still got nutrients being digested and absorbed, and you have a much larger window than people are used to thinking. So what really matters is are you getting enough protein over the entire day? I always suggest to front load your protein so you're not playing catch up. Are you eating enough total food? Your actual caloric number, like you need to know kind of what that might be and kind of start to dial that in. If not, then that's what we can discover. Are you training hard enough? Are you recovering well? Is your recovery matching your training, right? That's a huge question. That's another topic we can discuss about is recovery. And you're doing those things. Are you doing these things consistently? And that's really the key, right? Because consistency is over intensity. Because if you're getting 60 grams of protein all day and then obsessing about the perfect post-workout shake, you're worrying about the wrong thing. The timing helps. The overall diet matters more. So if we want to make this really simple, before training, fuel the work, get some protein, get some carbs. If the workout demands them, if the workout demands them, give yourself enough time to digest and show up ready to actually train. After training, get your support and recovery nutrition in. Get a solid serving of protein. Replace some of the carbs, not too much. Know your numbers, rehydrate, and then continue to eat normally throughout the rest of the day. If you don't know your numbers, well, start small and be intuitive. How do you feel? Right? That's why I say use your gut. Listen to your gut. What you're feeling, what your gut feeling. If you don't need some magic, you don't need some magic pre-workout meal. You don't need magic post-workout shake. You just need to understand that what the body's asking for. Before training, we're trying to create energy performance. After training, we're trying to create recovery energy and adaptation energy. And when you get both of those right, consistently, you're putting yourself in a better position to actually get something out of the work you're doing. Because it's a process. Train hard, feel the work, support the recovery, stay consistent. If you found this helpful, guys, please subscribe for more information on strength, nutrition, and body comp longevity, and I will see you next time.